Breaking the gray.
Sarah, your bright and shiny face is here. And by the way, you look like you've gotten some color. I see that you're in the sun, enjoying life. It's amazing.
Yes, yeah, of course. I'm at my favorite spot at the beach, so everything's good.
Beautiful. The beach does you well. Thank you for joining today. It's one of these things where I know you're always going to join, but I anticipate it because I'm like, Sarah's going to join. I've got to be on my game. I got to stretch, get my sweats off, get my trainers on. But we're here.
Have you done all your stuff?
Yeah. And then which is always true. I never know my stuff. My pre-work is I do it on the fly.
Right. Okay. Of course. We're all blagging it.
Yeah. It's so, but speaking about today's guest, I did do some
I thought you were going to say,
research.
speaking about blagging it. No, of course not. Because this week's guest is Brett Moran, who is a dear friend of mine. Yes.
Brett Moran is an amazing human. Hello,
Brett,
how are you?
Brett never blagged it, Moran.
Amazing. And I love that word, blagging it. I totally agreed. I thought you was going to introduce me like that as well. I was like, yes.
It's not a typical American term. So while you're talking, I'm going to go Google it just to make sure I'm using it in the right context.
Russ, basically it means you're making it up on the spot. You're making it up as you go along. You're blagging it. You're winging it.
That is my middle name. I was going to say, Sarah, we should probably change the name of this season to Amazing Humans because, truly, having done some research on Brett, he's an amazing human. Everyone we've talked to is, but seriously, amazing.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Amazing Humans I Know. That's going to be, that should be the title. Yeah. It's a book. There's a book there.
There's a book.
So, Brett, what makes you so amazing?
Wow. I don't think I've ever been asked that question, Russ. That's a good first question. What makes me so amazing is that I don't really care.
That's good.
Yeah, and I really mean that from like a lovely place. Like I really just love life, and I just have so much fun, and I do the things that I do, but I'm not so attached to it. I don't really care about it. And I actually find that I enjoy it a lot more the more I don't care about it. Whatever it is, a relationship or a business or just life. I think we take it too seriously. So I think that makes me amazing, and people find it nice to be around because I'm a bit lighthearted and a bit jokey, especially in the world nowadays.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that's exactly what we need, for sure.
Being lighthearted in life is interesting because there's, I think people worry so much about consequence that if I don't do this, something bad will happen, or there's going to be a resulting consequence. So when you live your life, it's not careless, but it's not putting meaning on everything. How do you get away from worrying about the consequences of things?
No, I heard something recently, actually, which was beautiful. It was basically that there isn't any wrong choices in life. We've labeled everything good and bad, dark and light. And this yoga teacher was basically saying there's just a different path. So whatever choice you make in life, there's just a different outcome. And then you just deal with that outcome as you go along. And so I think the key really is just to take a moment to think about the choices that you're about to make, because most of us are just constantly on autopilot, making choices about what we're being told the choices that we need to make nowadays. And you lose that sense of freedom. If you just sit down and think, okay, that choice is going to take me left and that choice is going to take me right. Which one gives me the goosebumps? Which one gives me more excitement? I'm going to go left because that's the one I want to do. And that's just how I've lived my life, really. Sometimes, people get hurt along the way, or they get offended and they get triggered, but you just got to live your life according to you. I think you've only got one shot at it. So do what makes you feel good. Yeah. And there isn't really a bad path. It's just a consequence.
You said something the other day, because I cyber stalk you constantly. You probably see that. You're like, this is Russ Eisenman guy.
It's just those naked photos that you're sending. I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable, Russ. I'm take it lighthearted, but it's the naked one back.
You know, when I see that they're unopened, I get it. Totally get the point. It's fine. But you said something about having compassion, right? You know, you said I have extreme compassion for other humans. And I think if you couple what you just said with having compassion for others, then the decisions you make are meant to not hurt others, but help others. If you're keeping that in mind, then your decision making becomes about not hurting people.
Yeah. Very beautiful. Yeah, I think just to kind of reframe or maybe explain a bit more, when I say you make choices, when you make these choices where you don't care, like you don't care about, it's not that you don't care about people. It's not like I don't care about this self and you're selfish in that way. It's actually the opposite. It's like, I really care. Like I can't even kill a mosquito. If a mosquito's sucking my blood, because there's lots of mosquitoes, I'm based in Thailand. It hurts when I see people kill these little ants and bugs. And I'm like, oh, I have this little wince. So it's not that I don't care in the careless way. It's actually the complete opposite. I care so deeply that when I make those choices, like, wow, I actually think you need to be selfish in this world nowadays. And I know it's such a cliche, but then you become very selfless. And if you're really tuned into that compassion and that love, life is just so simple and obvious. It's like, wow, my choices do affect everyone else, but let me make sure that I'm really practicing this self-care for me, this self-love for me, number one, first of all. Just like that plane analogy, you're in the plane and that mask drops. You're supposed to put it on yourself first, not your children. Because if you panic, you're no good to your kids. So for me, I've just been practicing that for 20 years. And it actually brings around a lot of compassion and a lot of love and a lot of peace for me, for the mosquitoes, and just for anybody else that I'm around. It doesn't mean that you become a doormat in life. You know, I don't kind of take it from people when they want to just kind of like walk all over you, but you just become a very compassionate human being when you realize actually you've really got to look after yourself first, then the rest is a lot easier. I find. I'm not sure if that's for everyone else. But when I watch everybody else trying to look after everyone else or change the world out there, make the money, whatever it is, share a message from a positive place, it's like you're still lost in this kind of outside world.
Yeah, there's a confusion. Yes, because we learn a lot about codependency and taking care of others, and people think that that's being good and being helpful for others. But the thing about codependency is that you do that for yourself. It's an internal need that you need to be needed, so you take care of other people. And the being needed part means you're not giving yourself the self-love, right? So you need other people to give you admiration, means that you don't love yourself. You need other people to love you to give you validation. And I think there's a difference, and that's not really being a good human, is being codependent and taking care of people so you can get the love from them. It's just selfless love. It's like, I love you, Brett, because you're a human, you're another fellow human, and you help others, and you're going to pass it on to somebody else. You're going to share that love with somebody else. It's hard. I have many a codependent in my life and I'm a recovering codependent. And I think a lot of that is, people start to lose respect for you because you don't love yourself. You don't care for yourself, and you're just taking care of them. And they're like, I don't want you to take care of me. I can take care of me. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Now my show's over and I'm going to go now.
See you later, Russ.
Sharing, Russ.
Yeah, I have mine. Yeah, I'm out of here. Brett.
That is a valid point, though, because otherwise, what are you doing it for? Because people do have different agendas. That's and right. I think it's a questioning. So I'd like to ask you, Brett, like, how do you kind of build up a practice of that? Because, I know, that like you said, people have conditioned reactions or are quick to respond. So do you have techniques that enable you to kind of pause before you make a decision, like you just said, or think about things differently? Or do you have a meditation practice that allows you to have that kind of knowledge in yourself that you are totally capable, you are enough? What's your thing?
Definitely, Sarah. It's definitely meditation for me. Like there's many techniques, and I read loads of books and I go on all these retreats. But one thing, the thread that has stayed with me for like nearly 20 years is sitting down every day, meditating. And I think people might have this misconception that meditation is either religious or spiritual, or it's about stopping your thoughts and thinking. I generally meditate because I think that we are like ticking time bombs. I don't think people generally understand who they are, what they are. And that brain, it can switch in an instant, whether that's shouting at somebody that you love, whether it's going off and taking a drug, or whether it's wasting your whole life in a system that is not, you know, obviously there's an agenda. I'm not going to go into that, but it's like, you know, for me, it's like I generally sit down on that yoga mat and meditate just to work out what on earth is going on. I'm like, what? You know, this brain is all over the place. And so I just find sitting down, even if you just sat down for 10 minutes a day and just calm the mind, Thich Nhat Hanh says, breathe in, I've arrived. Exhale, I'm relaxed. And I just practice that. I've arrived, I'm relaxed. And I do it. And even like I've been doing it for 20 years. I went out last night with my friends for some vegan burgers, and I still felt a little bit uncomfortable in a social situation. I still felt a little bit triggered by what somebody said. But thankfully, because of meditation and because of this awareness, I don't have to act like a robot. I can come home and self-reflect on it. So I think that's what true meditation for me is. I mean, you can empty your mind and you can go to these different states, but it's just starting to understand, what is this biology? What is this mind? It's not us. It's not ours. So who am I? And it sounds pretty deep. But I think that I practice that mainly for me, just to kind of like cultivate that self-practice. And then naturally, whatever something is inside us, I think there is some kind of light within us that then starts to become a better human being. It organically evolves and grows into a nicer human being. And I can honestly safely say that because I wasn't a nice human being 20 years ago, from violence and drugs and sexual images, or even the films that I used to watch, you know. Now, again, I can't even kill a mosquito. I cry at the flowers. I'm like, oh my God, Brett, who are you? Like, where did this come from? But I feel like I've never felt more whoever I am. I felt more who I am now because of meditation. Before, it was just a lie. It was just conditioning. It was programming. It was what society expected or parents conditioned us to be. So I think for me, meditation, if you're not meditating now in this day and age, 10 minutes a day, like your mental health is going to suffer, your emotional health, spiritual health, whatever that means to you. Like, you're going to be lost in this samsara, the disillusion. Like, if you're not meditating, I think you could be in a big banging trouble. So yeah, that's my positive way of getting people into meditation. Do it or die.
Bullying approach. I like it.
Do it or you'll be you'll be stuck in a black hole of eternity that you'll never get out of. It's fine.
It's all about love and oneness. Do it or you're not good enough.
Yeah.
No, but on a serious.
But I really have to reflect on you and your background, because you just touched on something, you know, that we probably should spend a little time on. Do you need to know that to balance that out? So do you need to have that negative side of, you know, having hit rock bottom, having spent time making terrible decisions, to appreciate and get yourself to a place where you can be here? Because if you spent your whole life meditating and never living that unbalanced life, would you have a desire to want to make a bad decision here and there, do drugs here and there, do something, you know, awful because you've never done it before? Like, do you need to balance that out?
Yeah, it's a good point. I literally, there's two ways to answer. I literally just read a really powerful book, and it takes me a while to read books, but I read this book in 2 days. I stopped and just read this book. I've been in tears of joy, tears of anger, and just loads of awareness. And the book is called The Choice, and it's by a survivor from Outtakes. Going to go a little bit heavy right now, but she was a 16-year-old girl. She literally watched her mum walk into a gas chamber. She watched people die all around her. She suffered for years, and basically, cut a long story short, right at the end, just she's laying in a pile of bodies, and just right at the end, the GI, the American soldier, comes in to sort of like save them, but he just thinks it's just a pile of dead bodies. She can't even lift her hand up to say that she's alive, and it's horrifying. It's like honestly, it's one of the most amazing books I've read. At the end, she musters up this last little bit of energy just to lift her finger, and this soldier saves her. He literally sees her, and then they save her. She's now this kind of psychologist. I think she's still alive. She became friends with Viktor Frankl, who wrote that Man's Search for Meaning. Mm-hmm. And both of their books are simply talking about freedom in the mind, talking about choices in the mind. And as crazy as that sounds, that story, I'm getting goosebumps and shivers as I talk about her story, because it still hasn't left me. Like, I only put the book down yesterday, and I don't think I've processed most of it. She said that she wouldn't change that, basically. She said that Holocaust and that outswitch has helped her create that freedom in her mind. And I think that everything that we go through, we think is bad situation. And I don't think you can think of anything worse than what she wrote about in that book. That's horrifying. But she still was somehow able to turn that round into a choice in her mind, that she didn't lose that power inside her. She still had that freedom within her mind. And she's basically saying all of these monstrosities or these addictions or these crazy habits and patterns or business failures or breakups or divorces or losses that we go through, basically traumas that we experience in life, they actually can be gifts. I think her second book, I've not read it, it's called The Gift. And I think she's about to say it's like they're gifts. And I'm like, wow, if there's a 16-year-old kid that can say that in Outswitch, then what excuse have I ever, what has anybody really ever got? Not being rude and dismissed, not taking it away, people's traumas and stories away from them. But I just do think it's a choice inside the brain. It's like, wow, this is a gift. I needed all of my addictions, my habits. I went to prison a couple of times and I still mess up. And I now welcome those. I welcome them as gifts. I'm like, oh, you just screwed up again, Brett. Because on the other side of it, if you've got that right mind and you train yourself, there is just so much freedom. There is so much joy. And the second way that I wanted to answer it, about 2 years ago, before this, apparently there's a flu going around in the world, but before that flu kicked off, I was sitting on a beach with a street dog called Titi in a lovely tropical island in Koh Phangan in Thailand. And I'm sitting there meditating all day long, Russ, like, the trees are blowing, the sun is shining, the dog's just laying by me, and I'm in absolute bliss. I've worked so hard to get here. I mean, like inner work. Sarah knows I don't really work hard on the outside. I'm always blagging that. But my work is the inner work. So I've worked very hard to get to that contentment and sitting on that beach in that bliss from all the things that I've been through. But when that flu kicked off a couple of years ago, I was just like, can I just sit on this beach for the rest of my life and not learn anything else? Or can I get off my butt and start sharing these meditations and start helping people? And there was a part of me that's like, nah, let's just sit on the beach and drink coconuts. But I tell you something, I don't think if you're going to sit on a beach and drink coconuts or live in a monastery or an ashram and meditate on emptiness and happiness and bliss all day, I don't think you're going to get these lessons, these challenges in life.
Right.
And I think they're what define us. They define your character and help you grow as long as you've got that mindset into who we are.
Prison is an interesting word. You can literally be in a prison, or you could be imprisoned in your own mind, right? You can be imprisoned by, your inability to get up off the couch or your inability to go speak publicly. Those are all prisons that you set on yourself. So maybe it's at extremes, right? But like someone might be living in prison and not making terrible choices. They're just imprisoned by their inability to make a choice. And so to have that freedom to not live inside your head, but live outside of yourself, maybe that it doesn't, whatever the extreme is, if you, hit rock bottom financially, you got divorced or in jail, or you are, struggling with some of the other stuff, all of this helps to balance that out. So I think it is about balance though, right? You're not always going to be like on the rise. Like you've got to, it's waves, right? Like life is waves. And I don't know. You're an expert here. I'm just the novice. I'm learning as I go. So
no, mate, I'm 100%. It's like a roller coaster. And sometimes you enjoy the twists and the turns. And when your belly gets somersaults and and sometimes you're scared and sometimes you're nervous. And the more you meditate and you study this stuff, the actual, the crazy you can become as well. It's a journey. I've definitely not got it sussed. I always feel like today I woke up and I've started again. It's just one day at a time, like they say in recovery. It's like, just today I'm going to do my best today. Yeah.
What about fear? What about fear?
Fantasized experience appearing real. FEAR. That's what Jack Canfield says. I tried to nick that one.
Good. So good.
That was quick. So good. But yeah.
It is. Exactly. I think the brain. When you're in the emptiness, or when you're just in your spirit, your soul, God, whatever you want to label it, if you believe in that, or even if you're just in the neurological chemicals inside the brain, when your brain is just in a nice kind of calm state, and there's not stuff going on, basically it's not thinking and it's kind of free, there can't really be any fear. But I'm not saying that take that away from somebody. Again, if you're in a concentration camp, you're in a prison, or your husband's just left, your wife's just walked out, you've got no money in the bank account. If we keep it real and bring it closer to home, most people are just trying to get through the month to pay the bills, or they're watching the news and there's all of this fear. It feels so real.
Yeah.
It feels so real. And then you act from that place. And You know, according to the yoga system, there's these different chakras, energy portals in the body. And the lowest energy portal is right down in the root chakra. It's where your sexual organs are. And they basically say that that's all to do with survival, to do with money, to do with sex, animal instincts. And if you look at society, it's constantly brainwashing people to live in that lower state. And it's all to do with fear. Now, I'm not really I'm not sure if it's true. I just like reading this stuff. But when I look around, I'm like, wow, we are actually living in a fear-based society. It's very survival. It's very, you know, whatever we're doing. So if we can wake up and actually, back to what that lady's saying, Edgar Eger, I think her name is, the author of that book, The Choice, she's basically saying, like, you can choose something different inside for yourself. You can choose that you still got to pay the bills, but I'm not going to allow it to affect me emotionally. He has walked out on me, but I don't have to kind of like be bitter and angry about it. My past was horrendous and I was abused or traumatized, but it doesn't define me. And she's always saying it's a choice. So I think fear, obviously, Sarah can tell you a lot more than me, like chemical reactions and serotonin and all the stress and stuff is going on in the body. To say that it doesn't exist is silly. To say that this life is an illusion is silly because we're still experiencing it. But I do think that we could handle it better if we meditated and practiced and just maybe reframed it in the mind. Yeah, I'm having this sensation, but how do I go beyond it?
That's cool. I'd like to know a bit more, Brett, about how you actually do that practically. Because of course, everything, I'm totally bought into everything you're saying. What are you sniffing, by the way? What have you got there?
So it's cocaine. I haven't given up the drugs. I'm still in a prison cell right now. Just blagging it.
I quit everything except for the cocaine. It's just the cocaine.
It's just that. That's all right then.
Yeah, it's herbal stuff you get in Thailand. It's like plants. It's nice. It's just menthol. Nice. Yeah.
Cool. I like the aromatherapy vibe you got going on.
Yeah.
7 in the morning there. I mean, he's waking up. He doesn't drink coffee like you and I do.
Yeah. Or the chocolate.
Yeah.
How do you start people off? Because I know that we have people listening and it's great to talk about all this stuff, but practically, how do you deal with it? Because like you say, people can be sitting there doing their 10 minutes meditation and then bang, you know, they're hit with the news or someone calls up or something and you're straight back in that other state. Yeah. So how do you coach people through it to try and get to that state of awareness where you can actually make that choice?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. I think the main thing, it's just an obvious answer, is like you have to really prioritize your practice. Like you need a 10-minute practice every morning or a 10-minute practice every evening. It's generally for that to then allow the brain neuroplasticity, to allow the brain to start to change. Also, I believe so you can start to experience a bit of the silence, or you can connect to something deeper than the voices inside your head. So I think if you haven't got the practice, like a daily prioritized practice, then it's going to be very difficult. You're always going to be triggered a lot easier than the average person that is doing a meditation every day. That to me, meditation basically just creates a window of opportunity before you react. It's like you're just about to react. You're just about to go into that. No, you can just stop. I'm just about to, whatever it is I'm about to do, take a drug, look at some pornography, spend the money on the credit card, shout at him, smack the kid. And whoa. What I've just found over years is because I've been meditating for so long, it stops me in the moment and it gives me a little moment to pause. Now, doesn't mean you're perfect. You're probably going to repeat the pattern 1,000 times. But if you keep prioritizing the practice, that window of opportunity, that gap, it just gets bigger and bigger. And in the end, it's like, oh, that doesn't actually bother me anymore. Oh, I've just found all of my addictions have faded away. I love what Wayne Dyer says. He says, have that awareness that it's there and then just love it. And I'm like, I'd say that to a heroin addict. Love your heroin addiction away. They're like, you're mad, mate. But now looking back after many, many years, I'm like, I've actually learned just to love all these things. I've learned to love fear. The other day, I've be honest and vulnerable with you guys. I spent quite a bit of money on some marketing, and basically the guy kind of didn't really fulfill the work, and I spent a lot of money. And that's okay, but he over-promised and he under-delivered. And I'm sitting there, I'm in this bubble of bliss. Remember, I've been meditating for 20 years and I've generally prioritized my practice. It's a lot longer than 10 minutes. I'm sitting on my cushion. This is last week, Sarah. I'm sitting on my cushion. It's turned into a Quentin Tarantino movie in my head. Yeah, I've got a knife out. I'm going to cut his fingers off. Yeah, and I'm thinking, you've mugged me off. I turned into some Londoner. I'm not even from London. I'm from the outskirts. And I'm like, in my brain, I've got this whole scenario of angry violence going through my brain because he's taken this thing that society's brainwashed me to believe is important called money. Pieces of paper with dead people's heads on it and numbers in a bank account. But they've brainwashed me and I'm so hooked on that anger. But on a serious note, all jokes aside, even though Quentin Tarantino is playing out like Pulp Fiction in my brain, I'm killing somebody just because he took some money off me, I genuinely felt very sad about that. Like I was scared because I was like, wow, that anger and that violence is somewhere inside me. It's not him. That was my trigger and my response. And so I had to sit with that. And the reason why I was sharing this is the most important reason, is because I think most people, they might not even be aware that that's going on, and they might act out and they do some horrible things. Like when I read that book about the Holocaust, like you can't judge those Nazis and the things that they did. Don't get me wrong, it was crazy, but it's like that's what I mean. We're ticking time bombs. And I'm like, well, I can't judge myself for being Quentin Tarantino wanting to cut his fingers off because he's taking some money. But what do I do with it? I can't, it's not him. So I honestly, I know it sounds a bit woo-woo. I sat there, you asked what I do with it. It's definitely a daily practice. I sat there and I just looked at this. It was like an energy. It's the only way I can describe it, like a shadow. And I just said, I love you. You know, come in. I don't want to be that person that kicks off and shouts at him because he's taken money, or, you know, locks him in the bedroom and ties him up for 6 weeks. Where's Brett Moran gone? He's taken somebody hostage. You know, I thought he was a meditation teacher. Screw that. He's now a murderer.
Live IG.
Yeah. Right, guys, I've just kidnapped him and we're going to cut the little pinky off right now. Ready? And so on a serious note, I think this is very important for anybody listening, because some people don't share this stuff. You know, I probably wouldn't have shared that I have these mad thoughts in my head, or I have these horrible feelings many years ago, and we keep it inside us. We have some mad stuff going on inside us, and I just like to expose it. I like to share it because I think it naturally fades away the more you do that. And then we realize that we're all in this together. We're all having these feelings and these minds. And so I literally asked that shadow self, that angry darkness, that violent thing, I said, come in, I love you. I think you're amazing. I want to understand you. And I said, imagine me and you speaking like the light and the dark. Imagine me and you becoming one. Imagine how stronger we would be. Imagine how much more confidence we would have. And it came in. It was like I had tears in my eyes. It came into my body, this black, dark energy, whatever you want to label it. It came in. I became one, the light one. It was like somebody switched on the lights in a very dark room. The next day, I had that meeting at 8 o'clock with that guy, and I was just full of love. I didn't raise my voice. I was calm. I still was assertive. Again, you don't need to be a doormat. I said to him, look, you know, you didn't really fulfill them. Like, you know, this is the job that you said. You didn't do it. And we had that lovely conversation. I was like, thank God I never got the knife out. And that is, I'm saying that honestly.
Or rang up and ranted, which is probably more likely, isn't it? Rang up, ranted, then you'd feel bad. He feels bad.
Guilty, and then what you're doing is you're putting another little bit of negative energy out there. Thich Nhat Hanh says, in order for us to end these wars, we got to end the battles inside ourselves. Right. And that battle was with me. It was nothing to do. He's actually a very, very beautiful, calm, placid human being. So I realized that I was going crazy. It was all to do with me. So I think it's very important for all of us to understand it, because we've all got a battle going on in some way. And we can either let that energy go out there and kick off, or we can just invite that darkness in and then start to love it. I don't think you're going to beat the system, but I know that you can master yourself. And when you master the self, you beat the system. You're free.
Yeah, there's something about shining the light on the shadows. I don't know what the quote is, but like when you shine the light on the shadows that is that darkness that gets inside of you, it just sort of goes away. It's just, all of a sudden you're just like, wow, you know, like, I mean, and also it's like acknowledging it. It's acknowledging that, like, wow, like I was going to react to that. By acknowledging it, you're shining a light on it right there. You're saying, oh my God, like I was going to cut that guy's hand off, and I was going to feel good about it.
It makes me feel horrible. Yeah. I can't even watch violent. I don't even watch movies on TV with violence or sexual images. So when it came up in me, it literally, it was like a trauma. It shocked me. I was like, wow. What? And obviously I've watched so many films. So just going back to Sarah's question, like that's how I would generally deal with it. That's coming from somebody that's been meditating and looks like he's living a very peaceful life. Make sure you prioritize your practice, because again, I think we've all got that ticking time bomb within us in some way. And then when it does come up, you go and find a quiet place and you invite it in for a cup of tea. You get to know that shadow or a coconut, wherever you live in, and you say, hello, anger, hello, sadness, hello, depression, hello, anxiety. I want to understand you. I want to get to know you. I want to be your friend. And you literally, you cuddle it, you hold it like a baby. Eric Butterworth says the darkness is just the absence of light. There's only one force in this universe. There's only one power, and it's light. Any darkness, anything that we do is just an absence of that love and that light. I'm not sure whether it's true, but in my little life or my little experience, I'm just trying to bring more light into it. And I do find that the darkness, the addictions, the angers, they sort of disappear, or you don't react to them.
I was going to say, like, our light in our life is Sarah Turner.
Yay!
There is right now. I'm under this really hot bulb. I'm kind of like melting.
I thought you was having a sunbed while we was doing a podcast. I thought it was a new thing.
I know.
A biohacking sunbed.
Exactly. It is amber light though. So we're all right for circadian biology. But I was going to ask you, Brett, because you obviously you coach a lot of people now through meditation, and I want you to do a little plug of your coaching course afterwards. But I was going to ask you, like, what feedback do you get from people? Because that's your direct experience. I wondered, what feedback do you get from other people doing it? Like, do other people say the same thing? Do people come up with the same problems all the time? What's your experience?
I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. You know me, Sarah. I'm just a normal dude that woke up in a prison cell, and it's just spreading a bit of love. And we get hundreds, getting goosebumps. We get hundreds of messages every month from people. Like, we've got 2 9-year-old children on our meditation course at the moment. They're going through a 10-week program with their mum. They've got their own little mentor from our company, and they're teaching meditations to each other. One of the little girls, called Lily, she actually messaged me and she said, Brett, a girl at school's being bullied. Can I teach her to meditate? She's 9.
Yeah,
we've got great. It's amazing. And I think, like, obviously you get it into the kids, it's the next generation. And I think, that's when we start to lose it. So we get hundreds of testimonials from people. And I think, if I'm honest, we're all going through the same stuff, whether you're 9, we've got 60-year-olds on the course, we've got single mums, we've got geezers on the course, like I used to be, or probably still am. We've just got a very mixed array of people on the course. And yes, the stories are different. Yes, the amount of money. Yes, the person's name is different. Yes, my situation with business and cutting his fingers off. All the stories are different, but I think we're all going through a couple of the same things. Very, very simple. Darkness. If you just sum it up, it's fear or greed, or it's darkness, or it's light, or it's love, and it's hate. And the stories which society has created now, because we live in a very busy world full of stories, it's just taken us further away from, like, the actual problem we need to work on. So I think for our meditation program, or my course, like, it's a lot simpler than most people think. Come back inside yourself. You're never going to change anything out there. Close your eyes, go within, and then find out what that darkness is within you. And then back to that book earlier, it's an absolute gift. I am so grateful that darkness came in, because I was able to love a person and not let that darkness beat me, or not let the system beat me. I'm so grateful that we have these meditation courses, and I actually say this stuff to them, like, look, guys, I'm still mental just like everyone else. We're all crazy. And when we all share that as a group, I don't know, literally the other day I told 2 men, I test this stuff out all the time. So I literally had 2 different encounters with 2 different men, and I told 2 men about this mad story that I had going on in my head. And I just wanted to test to see the reaction. Both of those men opened up to me and told me something that they was going through.
Right. Yeah.
And we created this space together. And I was like, isn't that funny? When one person is brave enough, and I'm not trying to get a Blue Peter badge or a pat on the hat, but when one person is brave enough to say, look, I'm crazy, or look, I've got this emotion, or look, I've got this struggle, it just creates a little bit of permission for another person to say, wow, I've been going through that in silence. This is what mental health is doing, right? Most people are suffering in silence. So yeah, I just think the opportunity from these meditation and the coaching is like, I just try my hardest to be authentic and real. I'm not trying to be a guru, put myself on a pedestal. And we're just getting hundreds, thousands of testimonials over the last couple of years, just of like, this is amazing. It's changing my life. Like, yeah, it's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. And again, it's not about Brett. It's just about this energy channeling through us, all of us. This light is waking up.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Wouldn't it be great if they taught it in schools? If we all did it at 9 years old?
Right.
I mean,
Mate, they really are now. That one of the other girls, she was 12. She came on the course, and her school's letting her teach it at the school.
Wow,
so I know I might be a bit naive, and the world again is going through some crazy stuff. But it's like, you look at a piece of paper. I've got a piece of paper here, and I just put like one little. If it's a blank piece of paper, I put like one little dot on it. Everyone just focuses on the dot. But there's a whole piece of paper here. We're focused on that one. You're walking down the road. You make 50,000 steps every day, and you trip over once, and then you're just, oh my God, did anybody see me? You're mortified by the one little mistake. And I think that if you look at like society on a bigger picture, it's like there is a lot more beauty and there's a lot more miracles going on than the bloody flu in the news.
We are very one track minded and focused, but I think that's just human. Humans tend to focus on the negative because you want to see something is a snake rather than a rope.
Yeah.
Do you think your brain
you're scientist, Sarah. You're the brainy one out of us three. Definitely ain't me or Russ.
I'm flagging that one, but
you.
yeah.
Yes.
I love you, Russ, but bring in the shadows. Let's
Totally
Sarah's
agree.
the brainy, sexy scientist. Yes. On a serious note, do you think the brain is just a problem-solving machine? Because I've been sitting on the beach with nothing to do in absolute bliss, and then I'm like, I start working out something because the brain. Do you think is it just because it's not? It's the brain is just active all the time or busy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we have a brain, I think, to solve problems. And like I said, I think we do tend to have a negativity bias, but that it's a survival mechanism, you know, because if you wake up in the middle of the night, especially you in Thailand, and there is a bit of rope there, you're better off seeing the negative and thinking it's a snake first. Because,
save yourself.
Yeah, because it can bite and kill you. If you make a mistake and it's only a rope, well, never mind, you know, that's not life-threatening. So I think this whole thing that we always focus on the negative, yeah, we do, but that's a human thing. But you're right. It's about having awareness, as we've always said, awareness. That, okay, yeah, that's the immediate response, but it doesn't have to then carry on and affect everything else. And I think the brain is just a pattern recognition. You know, you're just constantly looking for patterns, constantly trying to fit something in, constantly trying to make sense. And maybe that's what you're doing with your meditation, you know, allowing that expansion to allow other ideas to come in and find other patterns. New patterns, of course, because otherwise, you know, it's a well-trodden path if you just do the same thing all the time.
And then the whole story, sorry to butt in, the whole story of the brain then starts beating itself up because it's like, oh, I'm repeating these patterns, I'm self-sabotaging. It's like, no, your brain's just doing it. You just need to change the brain. And that's why I think the daily practice gives you that window of opportunity to see these patterns because like you say, I don't think the brain is against us. Even when we sabotage, even an addict, it's like, we're just trying to protect ourselves. We're doing it for a reason, right? But you've got to find that new groove. Yeah, I like that.
You've got to find that new groove. Yeah, and I think that's exactly what you're doing. Well, we ask our guests to give us a 7-day challenge, Brett, because Russ and I try and do something that the guest recommends because we're constantly trying to up our game. And also it's very difficult to recommend something to everybody out there when you haven't done it yourself. Yes. So you can give us a challenge, whatever you like, and we will do it over the next 7 days, and then we come back and we say, yeah, well, you know what, you know, Brett was all very well and good, but we couldn't do what he said, or actually it has changed our lives. Yeah.
How comfortable are you both with getting naked? Just want to put that, just want to find out. Sarah's face. She's like,
depends where I am. It depends where I am.
Good answer. Internet's going, see you later, Brett.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm at work, I'm not really comfortable with that. But if I'm here at home, absolutely comfortable with that.
Now, on a serious note, what about a headstand? You can use the wall. You can just do a headstand, a nice little headstand for at least, like, if you can do it for a couple of minutes, it would be amazing. And try and use it as a meditation. In ancient yoga, many, many years ago, these kind of, like, you think of meditation and all the spiritual stuff as people sitting down with their legs crossed and getting, you know, meditating. But in the yoga traditions, they would get people to do headstands for like 30 minutes because it really changes even the blood flow of the body, the energy.
Of course. Yeah. It totally changes the pressure on your heart, the pressure on your brain, everything. I'm not entirely sure I can do a headstand though, Brett.
But you can even just put your head on the floor, so the crown of the head is on the floor, and then you just walk your feet as close as you can towards your chest. Or you can use the walls. You just flip up and use the wall, and literally try and do it every day for like 2 minutes. But use it as a meditation and focus. Like, set your intention as the energy and the blood and all of the whatever it is coming from the feet all the way down the body, all the way down to the crown of the head. And it's just amazing. I remember years ago, Sarah, we used to live with each other, right? And you used to like come up with all these different crazy like ideas. Like, I'm going to get out of bed on the other side. I'm going to brush my teeth with my other brush. I'm going to put my shoes on the other way around. All these, and it was all for like cognitive health or brain stuff. And I loved it. And it's like, and this to me, this is the same. It's like, okay, right, we're always standing on our feet. We're always looking at it like this. Let's just, and honestly, I've been doing it for ages, and it's like, I feel a difference. So yeah, maybe there's my challenge. See if you can.
All right, I'm up for it. I'm actually at the Biohackers event this weekend, so I'm sure I won't look at all strange actually doing that against the wall, because there's all kinds of people doing all kinds of things there. So this is probably a good week for me to do it. I accept the challenge. How about you, Russ?
I've already accepted it. I'm upside down right now. I'm in. I'm in. And I'm naked, which is actually, I'm glad no one's here. This is not something you want to see upside down.
I look forward to that photo.
No,
Brilliant.
yeah, yeah, great. You won't open it. I got you. It's fine. It's fine. This is amazing. Again, Sarah, thank you for sharing your world with me. Brett, thank you for sharing your world with us multiple times. And it's been amazing. I really appreciate you as a human. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell people where they can find you, Brett, before we sign off.
Yeah, the best thing to go is to Instagram. If you have an Instagram account, it's just Brett Moran, BRETTMORAN, and then an underscore. And then there's loads of free meditations. I do live meditations on Instagram, Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock in the UK. Lots of rants and lots of concepts that I try to demystify. And also just take people on a journey and have some fun. So I think Instagram is where you can get a lot more. But then we have a Facebook group, which again is Brett Moran. And then there's we have like over 1,000 people in this meditation group, and we're just sharing meditation as much as we can. So yeah, social media is probably the best way, really.
Okay, brilliant. And we'll put it in the blog that will go up just after this episode. So that will be cool. We'll try and point people your way, because I think, the more people can start to get their head around that, the better people will be.
And can I give a challenge to any of your listeners then, if they're not already meditating, just a little challenge for them? Maybe a headstand sounds a bit woo, but I think everybody or most people will struggle with some kind of mental health, some kind of emotional health, and they're obviously listening to you guys to learn and to grow. So my challenge to the listeners, if you're listening, is to literally sit down for 8 minutes every day. You can set an alarm on your phone and just time 8 minutes every day, and do it at the same time. So if you do it at 8 o'clock in the morning before work, make sure you do it 8 o'clock every day, and just do it for 7 days. If you can, do it for 30 days. And I'm sure you've probably shared meditations, or other guests have shared stuff like this, but just really prioritize your practice this week. Because I think we prioritize so many other things in life. We just forget to prioritize our mental health, our emotional health, or even ourselves, So 8 minutes a day is a magic number, because there was a study that showed, I think it was after 36 days or something like that, that the neurological pathways, Sarah could probably tell you more than this, again, the brain started changing, and they started to see a significant difference of just an 8-minute meditation. I think we probably scroll through social media a lot more than 8 minutes a day.
Yeah, so, or watch the news or any of those
watch
things.
Watch the news or do all these things. So just prioritize that mental health for 8 minutes a day. That's my challenge to the listeners.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Brett. We're going to let you get back to your coconuts.
Thank you. I'll go upside down naked and go take a photo for us.
Sure. Thank you.
Lovely to connect with you guys. Thank you so much. It's amazing.
Okay. Bye-bye, Brett. Take care.
Have a great day.
Bye. Sarah, I know you can't see me right now. My feet are on the screen. Can you see my feet?
Yeah, I could just about see you, Russ.
What's
gone to your head?
I'm stuck. 7 days I've been stuck in a headstand. I can't get down. I'm frightened that if I try to get out of this, I'm going to break something. Hold on. I'm going to get out of this. Okay. All right. I'm here. Okay, good. Wow. That was unreal. Yeah,
Brett. Yes. What a gem.
He was. God, I mean, so much to say about him. I mean, an amazing story, like a story of recovery and reawakening and all of that. But just the fact that he's truly living it, and he's such a kind human being, and you know him well.
Yes, I can totally vouch. That is how he lives. That he definitely is totally authentic, genuine. He walks the walk. From dealing to healing, what a brilliant strap line that he's got. But fabulous guy. And he's being a light, showing the way.
Yeah. And really, we've talked a lot about all of our guests that we've had. And it's just, you get to a place where you're just, you see someone that's truly found something unique, and it makes them happy. And you could do this stuff. We've met a lot of people who do this as their job, and they're intense about it, and they want to go punch someone in the face because I'm going to show everyone this is how I biohack. Or you can go meet Brett Moran, and they're doing it with kindness, and they're compassionate, and they care about people. And it's not about making $1. It's just about sharing what he knows with other people. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you say, you know, Brett and I have been friends for a very long time. So I've kind of seen that transition. And that's the most lovely thing for me too, to be in this place now where I can interview him on, you know, being a meditation teacher, you know, going from where we were to that. That's super cool for both of us, actually. For both of us, you know, we've made that kind of development. So it was very special for me to be able to interview him. He's a very special guy. And definitely, if you want some down-to-earth advice, learn how to meditate and do it, you know, with someone who, you know, is genuinely made that journey themselves. Highly recommended. I mean, definitely everybody should do this course.
Yeah, I agreed. And let's talk about the headstands. Share with me your thoughts on it.
Well, I'll do more than I'll share the photos soon because I have photographic evidence. But actually, I thought I could do it. But yeah, I can do. Well, at least I can do, you know, one up against the wall.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
I wish you'd given me this challenge just before I was going to see Eugene, the yoga coach, because I did a handstand on his hands. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, but, right. I've seen those pictures. We talked about Gene.
Oh,
the
yeah.
butcher. Yeah.
I did handstands
the dry
with
guy.
Eugene. Yeah.
The dry guy is actually flexible.
But I've been doing one on the beach here. So I'm going to take some pictures. I actually, you know, can recruit some people to do the handstands. But more than what I took away from the Brett interview is, you know, what he was saying about putting yourself first and kind of being selfish in a good way. Because over the last weekend, I have thought about that. And there's been several times where I've thought, no, I do need to do this thing for myself so that I can show other people. Because I do, I think I'm one of the, you know, I don't want to offend people. And I'm always putting myself second because I think that maybe other people need things more than I do. But I think that's a lesson is that kind of good form of selfishness, you know, putting your own oxygen mask on before you deal with other people. Because unless you are coming from your best place, your optimal place, you cannot help people in that most optimal way because you're burnt out, you're tired, you're not living your most potential. So the handstand was cool and it was good. And I did the 2-minute meditation. But for me, really what I took from the Brett interview was that piece. And that's something that I've come back to over the week.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I've lost my free time over the last couple of months. And I've really felt not meditating and just being consumed by this thing that I'm doing. And it's consumed me. It sucked all of me away and I'm giving it to something else. And the reality is that if you don't make the time for that, right, like you do suffer. Yeah.
You suffer in the long run, and you also diminish your ability to help other people if you're not helping yourself first, because, you know, you need to come from that place of being healthy, of being rested, of actually having the time to think through what you're doing so you can make the best choices for yourself and everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's something to be said about, you know, longevity here, right? If there's something that we want to set our goal to, and maybe we set our goal in this next season, because our first goal was to introduce all of this biohacking stuff to everybody and let them understand it so they can trial it and try it and understand who they are. But I think that ultimately it's longevity. Everybody wants to live longer and healthier and happier. So if you listen to our podcast and all of our old episodes and you take notes, you'll live longer. We can guarantee that you will live longer if you take some notes.
Yes, you'll live longer with a better quality of life, because, you know, no one wants to live longer and spend 30 years in, you know, like an old people's home. You want to live longer and be active and be happy and healthy. So really that's what we're about, having a longer, better quality of life.
Yeah. And I will say, I have fallen off the train and I need to get back on the Rebel Scientist train. I've had a rough go of it the last couple of months. I've just been working hard. It's crunch time at one of the things I do, and I'll get back on. And it's the exercise thing that gets me. Like, I will not find time to get on my pellet. I have a Peloton. Right? I'm not using it. I need to use it.
Yeah, you need to get back to the Boomer episode where he talks about little micro habits, fitting little things in around your meetings, doing your star jumps in between. But it happens to the best of us. And I think that's a good admission from you, because, you know, even though we're in the middle of it, you know, it's still takes constant work to do this, to really make the time for yourself. So yeah, that's
okay. All right, I'm going to go back and listen to the micro habits.
Yeah.
Listen to Boomer. I have stopped my junk music going into my brain. I'd like to tell you, I have no pop music's going in this brain anymore.
Well, that's good. Abel James had that effect on you. That's cool.
Oh, I just I'm on this alt classical Nils Fromm run of just finding this whole new area of music of just, coordinated sounds. It makes me very creative and I love it. So Sarah, I enjoyed it once again. Thank you for introducing me to, I will say up to this point, my favorite guest. Sorry, everyone else.
We're not allowed to have favorites, Russ. You can't have favorites.
I have 4 kids and they're all my favorites. If they ask, if anyone asks us who our favorites are, they are my favorite.
Okay, that's how it goes. But yes. Well, I'm also a little biased. Brett is also one of my favorite people in the world. So yeah, I think we're allowed to.
Let's admit that we have some people we don't really like that have been on our podcast, but we won't admit who they are. We can say it like, okay, you won't be coming back for a second episode, but that's okay. Like they're being their true selves. And if you don't agree with their true selves, c'est la vie. Doesn't mean you get to come back on our podcast. Yeah. So Sarah, thank you. And
Thank you, Russ. Soon. Thank you, Russ. Take care of yourself and see you next week.
The Rebel Scientist Podcast is a Breaking the Gray production, created by Russ Eisenman and Paul Wood, hosted by Sarah Turner, music and sound editing by Logan Shea. For more information and other fantastic podcasts, visit breakingthegray.com. That's gray with an E, breakingthegray.com. Breaking the Gray.